everybody. It's time for the podcast. That's right. It's time for the Chicago 60 podcast. I am your illustrious host, Justin J. War. And next to me here, I have my illustrious co-host,
Norm J. War. Oh, sorry, that's his last name. Normbert.
Okay. If you're not drinking, folks, you're doing something wrong.
Please.
To the podcast.
To the podcast.
Alrighty then. Hey, Chicago, we have a lot of amazing news for you about this wonderful city that we all call home, Chicago. Okay, so we're going to get right into that real quick. But first, let's, Norm, how are you doing today?
I'm doing pretty good. How are you today?
I'm doing super great. How was your last week?
Oh, my last week was pretty amazing, and a lot of great things happened.
That is fantastic. Want to share with the wonderful people what was the fantastic things? Moving right along, in other news, we're going to get to some amazing follow-up stories for you. So we had a lot of very interesting stories, Norm, from last week. If you haven't listened to episode 3,
Go back.
then go back and listen to it. It's called Facts, Corruption, and Money, because Chicago is a very interesting place. Now, there are a few quick stories that we wanted to get to just do some things have happened from week to week that we now need
Surprisingly, things move on.
Oh my goodness, it's like time continues to move forward.
Stop it.
Things happen continually.
I said stop it.
There are actions that have equal and opposite reactions.
Damn it, stop it.
That's all I got. So, moving right along here. So the first thing that I wanted to talk about, we talk a lot about transportation.
A lot about transportation.
I don't know why we had that as a thing for so long.
Chicago,
but it was.
you're always on some form of transportation.
That is true.
So.
It's basically you take some form of transportation to get to a room, then you get on another form of transportation to take you to another room. It's just a series of transportation and rooms.
That's purgatory.
That's basically, we're all in purgatory.
We're all in purgatory.
But at least we're in a nice place called Chicago. Oh, it's a lovely city, full of fun things, like Divvy Bikes.
Divvy Bikes.
Ha! Last week, we talked about how Lyft was trying to re-up their contract with the city of Chicago to add about 10,500 more Divvy Bikes. For those of you who are unaware and or oblivious to things around you, Divvy Bikes are big. They're like these big blue bikes.
Huge
they
blue
are
bikes.
in little racks.
Thick
and
blue
you
bikes.
can, yes, thick. Emphasis on thick.
Thick. Blue
Bikes. And you can rent them and travel to some other part of the city and then leave the bike in another station. And then your trip has commenced and ended.
Divvy Bikes.
Divvy Bikes. Now, what was interesting about Divvy Bikes, this did not happen in Chicago. However, this news could affect what may happen to the new Divvy Bike contract that will happen for Chicago. What ended up happening was Lyft has had several issues as of late in other cities where they are the predominant supplier of electric and rented bicycles, what we call shared vehicles. And the main issue has been that the bikes are braking too hard.
Wait, what?
Yeah, and that's the complaint.
Like, they're stopping too good?
I don't know, but that is the complaint that was listed in the Chicago Tribune, was that the Divvy Bikes are, quote, braking too hard, end quote. What is happening here? Are people like, do they, is it like when you drive, okay, you know when you drive your car, and then you drive another car, like a rental car and or somebody else's car, like your girlfriend's or just a friend's or, you know, a car that you steal. We're in Chicago. It happens. And then you start, you
gotta get to work, right?
Yeah, right? Exactly. And you like hit on the brakes in the new car and you're like, ooh, this is new. Is that what's happening with the Divvy Bikes? Like people are like braking, they're like, oh, and they're like flying over the handlebars. What's going on here?
So I feel like so my assumption is that most Divvy Bikes are being used either in the city or on the lake. And either way, there's just a bunch of people everywhere. So I get the whole braking issue, but they're braking too hard. So they're saying that they're trying to stop, but it's stopping a little too damn good.
It's like you're getting hit in the handlebars right in the midsection.
Really?
It's like, oh, God, ow! I now broke 2 ribs in my rib cage from a Divvy bike.
Well, then maybe you shouldn't pump the brakes so damn hard.
Or don't, ride on near the lake where it's basically you're gonna end up stopping and starting just as much as if you're on the Kennedy or the Eisenhower in rush hour traffic. Okay, just don't do it.
Or don't follow the rules anyway and just don't stop anywhere like you do now.
Just run over people, cyclists and or bicyclists.
But we're not mad at you.
Riders.
We're not mad at you.
PC term is for people who ride bicycles.
I think we discussed this. It was cyclists.
I think it's cyclists.
It's cyclists.
Yeah. Anywho, in other news. Sticking.
Yes. So this excites me because it kind of pisses me off, but it also makes me a little bit happy. So what we discovered, we found out, and if you go back to the other podcast, we had a little saying that we mentioned that Chicago is actually potentially bringing shareable scooters.
Correct.
That you just hop on and then go around and then leave anywhere. And
Correct.
Personally, I mean, I had a Razor scooter when I was little. They were cool then. I don't know about scooters now, but apparently people in Chicago want scooters more.
Yes. Apparently, electric and shared scooters are used more predominantly than bicycles, which is very interesting to me. According to the National Associate,
Mm-hmm.
The unnational,
like
the unnational. It's not a nation or a state. It's unnational.
The greatest.
That's right. The greatest.
City in Chicago.
It's who am I? Colin Firth in the King's Speech. All peoples. That's ridiculous. I don't have a speech impediment, I think. So, according to the National Association of City Transportation Officials, that's a mouthful. Or, for short, NACTO. That's the first time I just said that out loud. NACTO. Oh, they definitely do not use the abbreviated version of that. They say it out the whole way. They don't go NACTO.
I feel like they're in the office. Hey, you guys, listen to a NACTO facto. I would be that boss. I would really be that boss. Guys, the NACTO facto of the day. Scooters.
I'd love to make that a segment on the podcast from now on. The NACTO facto.
The NACTO facto.
Oh my goodness. Anyway, according to NACTO, they released a report that stated 38.5 million scooters have been used compared to 36.5 bicycles throughout all of 2018. And this was a national report, so this is all over the country. Now, Chicago, we don't have any scooters. We just have the bicycles, so we obviously contributed to that 36.5 million. But apparently everybody else in the country is doing... Apparently we should hop on what everybody else is doing in the country. Should Chicago adopt a scooter positive policy? A SPIP?
A SPIP?
Yeah, I'm trying to go more with the acronyms at this point.
SPIP.
Scooter positive policy is SPIP.
Let's get a SPIP.
Yeah.
You know what? I guess whatever brings funds into the city, whatever exciting new thing that we have to put into the city to make it better, I just don't believe that green scooters being left everywhere is probably the best idea. I feel like it needs a docking station. But, and also, okay, Chicago drivers are probably some of the worst drivers.
Yes. Yes.
Y'all don't care about anybody, okay? Y'all really don't give a damn. Like, you just, whether you're on a bike, a scooter, on a horse, walking, hell, on wheelies, for crying out loud, you're still dicks. So, I don't think Chicagoans need more wheels, but you know what? Who am I to say anything about it?
I know, yeah. And what's also interesting in the report from NACTO is that riders in general...
In the storm? Sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Riders...
Sorry. I couldn't stop myself.
Oh, man. So riders across the country, riders meaning both scooterists and, I'm hoping that's the terminology, and cyclists, did 84 million total shared rides.
4 million
yes, which is double from, so that was 2018 numbers. That's double what was done in 2017. So that means more people are using the facilities of these. Is that just meaning that people are not buying cars? What's going on? Why are we... I guess that's good.
Yeah. You don't really need a car in Chicago.
That's true.
The city itself.
But could you imagine I feel like hopping around in scooters is definitely an LA and or Seattle thing and or a European thing.
The fact that you like scooters.
That's right, scooters.
Hop around scooters.
Go get me a scooter.
I'm gonna go on and get a scooter.
A scooter.
Hey, Scooter, go give me that ketchup over there, bud.
That's right. Get in there, nice and deep black Scooter.
Why did it feel
From
mad?
Dodgeball. It's from Dodgeball.
I asked
It's from
for
the movie
ketchup.
Dodgeball.
I don't remember that in Dodgeball.
Oh, well, jeez. You know, it's a transition.
Yeah,
Whatever.
Talking about scooters.
But yeah, I would just want to punch people who are riding around in scooters.
Yeah.
I think that's more of a Midwestern and New York City type of thing to do.
I also think the issue is they'd be on the sidewalks.
Right.
And that's would just not be good. We barely have sidewalks as is.
Yeah.
So to have scooters on the sidewalks and bikes in the street, it's just a whole Wild West kind of situation.
Yes. Agreed. So who knows? Who's to say? I'm sure we will have another follow-up edition of the bicycle scooter extravaganza.
All you need is like a bike and a scooter.
Exactly.
Each other.
We're gonna do a battle of the bots version of our show.
Cyclists versus scooters.
Divvy Bikes versus scooters. Who will win? And there's like scooters are whipping around, hitting the bike, and then it's gonna be an event for all.
Damn,
both
Dustin.
family and friends alike are invited to that.
Come on.
Event. Tickets sold wherever you buy tickets. Well, now one last final follow-up story that is worth a mention is the story that we mentioned last week about the Lincoln Yards project, which for those of you who did not listen to last week's podcast, feel free to go and listen to the juice of that story. But as a quick recap, the Lincoln Yards project is the last major project that Mayor Rahm Emanuel was trying to get passed through the city council, which would involve a major reconstruction and construction project in mostly the north side, like in the Lincoln Park area, some parts near Soldier Field, and I believe 55 some odd acres west of Roosevelt Road, where they're going to be where there's going to be a construction project by Sterling Bay. We're going to be doing a lot more restaurants, things just to make it look nicer, so that people from the suburbs who come into the city will feel like they haven't really moved anywhere. They're like, oh, this is so much nicer. Why didn't I move out from the burbs long ago? I should have moved to the city. Oh, I'm a city person.
Listen, I don't need another Target, okay? I get it. Starbucks can buy every storefront on every corner in Chicago. Yes. Target can do the same thing. Walmart tried, but then you can't buy any. Who wants to go to a half-ass Walmart?
Right.
Fill up some of the empty storefronts that are in local areas that you're charging too high of a rent for local business owners to live in. Fill up those spaces with other local business owners and bring the rent down a little bit so they can actually live there and work there. But go fix up Lincoln Park like it fucking needs it.
Right. Exactly. Well,
Soldier Field. I've seen Soldier Field. I can't walk to Soldier Field. It's too fucking nice for me.
It is a very nice area now, yeah. Well, Norm, you're going to be pleasantly pleased with the rest of the story and the updates. So, the Grassroots Collaborative organization and Raise Your Hand, two organizations based in Chicago, they are actually putting forth a lawsuit against the approval and passage of the Lincoln Yards project. Yes. They are claiming that the TIF projects are inconducive to those areas, and in general, the TIF projects are not very beneficial to the city, or should at least be in areas where it could be more beneficial. For those of you who do not know what TIF stands for, it is a tax increment financing area, which basically means that that there's a prioritization of public funds to the development of a particular area. And basically what ends up happening in TIF districts, as they're called, is that property taxes, like those that would go for Chicago Public Schools and the City Hall, are frozen for a period of up to 20 years. And as the property value of the area goes up and the taxes end up going up because there's going to be more taxes raised, so that, and all of that money and all of that value that is created from those zones by developing it, goes back into the redevelopment of that particular area, and then you have a more developed area where there are higher clientele, more people, etc., etc. It makes the entire... It's kind of like a formal way of gentrifying an area. Instead of getting a bunch of very classy individuals and, homosexuals to move into an area and class up the place, they're like, no, let's just throw a bunch of money and tax people more. That's basically what a TIF is.
Wrigley Field.
Exactly, yeah, exactly.
All of Wrigleyville.
Yeah.
Is just that now.
And so what grassroots, the Grassroots Collaborative and Raise Your Hand are arguing is that they are against the prioritization of public funds to be given to wealthy developers in an already established locale of the city that doesn't really need it. They are arguing that those funds should be reallocated to what you have been claiming, areas that actually need it, and then give people a little bit more say into what's going on in their particular TIF districts.
Yeah. I mean, that was very...
That's the...
it was very extensive.
Yeah,
but it's one of those situations where you look at it and go, well, if someone didn't fucking say it, me as a person can say it, but then someone doesn't do anything about it. But at least there's someone doing something about it, because they were ready to spend that money. Like, they were like, oh yeah, we're going to put an extra tree over here, and we're going to put like a little dog sitting area right over here. It's going to be a cafe. We're going to have a Starbucks. Not even like a Chicago cafe. Not even like, oh yeah, let's try to find something local, hyper-local Chicago cafe, some great place. Like, hell, you can put a damn Al's beef in. I don't care. Like, just be home.
Yeah.
Stop trying to be something else.
It is quite interesting, I will say, that I can understand why they're trying to upgrade those areas, but if there's, those areas could wait. There are other places that could use, that money could be allocated, particularly since from the last episode we discussed how the state may still end up financing some of these projects. It just seems like money's going into pockets that it doesn't, and hence why last week's episode was called Facts, Corruption, and Money. So it just seems like some interesting business is going on there. But we will have more. I'm sure there will be more going on with that story as well. It is kind of a big thing going on in Chicago, I would say. I'd say that's definitely something to keep an eye on, particularly a red eye. And so that's pretty much it for the follow-up stories. We'll have more for you as we see developments occurring. But now, Norm, it is time for news. Okay, so we got news. News. Okay. Okay, I got news here, Norm. Okay. First major story that I found, which I found to be quite interesting, was our second beloved airport child, Midway.
Midway!
The only place where you can get onto a Southwest Airlines vehicle of the air.
It looks like a school.
Yes, it does. With that weird heart thing with that little hand.
And that hallway where all the pictures of space and different planets are, and then you walk into this one big room where they just have kids' drawings everywhere. Like, I still want to know who designed this part of Midway, but I love it every time because they're just like, you think you're walking to a school right now. You think you're in the wrong place, but you're not.
There's lockers. What?
There's an assembly going on 24 hours a day.
A bell just rings. Time for 7th period. Please go to Terminal 13.
I would love Midway even more if it just embraced itself as a legitimate school.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Hilarious. Well, interesting to note that they are going to be going through a massive reconstruction project and or upgrade, I guess you could say, where they're going to be overhauling their shopping and dining options.
Thank you.
Yes. About time, Midway. So, I mean, obviously O'Hare has quite the selection of places to eat and shop when you're waiting for your plane. But Midway's been a little lacking.
Very lacking.
They actually only have 56 shopping and restaurant locales within the airport itself. They are going to be upgrading it to about a total of 70. They're going to be trying to include some new fun and exciting shops. This is all according to the Tribune. The sales, the reason why they're doing it is because they saw an increase in sales. Even though they dropped McDonald's and Potbelly,
Right.
or how we say in Chicago, Potbellies.
Potbelly.
It's Potbellies. Even though they lost McDonald's and Potbellies, they did see an increase in the overall sales of merchandise and food, beverages, etc. It went up about 12.5% in 2018, up to about a total of $86.5 million.
Off of what?
I don't know. A lot of people drinking in Midway.
I
suppose.
I've been to Midway, okay? But I've only gone to Midway when half the stuff is closed. So, yeah, I guess I get spending money on candies and shit and magazines when, nothing else is open. But what's in Midway where people spend that much money?
I don't know.
Man.
I mean, it is shocking. But they say we want more of that.
That's great. Yeah, no, it's awesome.
Whatever gets more people into Midway is fine by me.
Really.
Is definitely. I mean, I go there quite often because I fly Southwest. Because if you're not
Southwest,
yo,
just don't fly that Max.
The 737s.
Yeah,
don't fly any 737s. You gon' die.
Those apparently are good.
No, they're not good. Every major airline is pulling them, including Southwest. They're like, don't get on the plane. That's basically the message there. So, next time you're about to get on a plane, maybe ask what number it is. It should be okay now, but hey man, this is 747, right? Not 737.
On the plane. Hey, can I get a seatbelt extender? And by the way, what type of jet is this? I want to know what's the number on this before I get on, but I need a belt extender. I'm gonna send it in the back. Hey, y'all got extra peanuts?
Hey man, which number was it's got 2 7s and then there's another number in the middle. Is it 6? Another 7? Is it 777s? Am I gonna hit the jackpot right now?
On the line at the door. Oh, nope, I'm not getting on this plane.
The jackpot is you're going to heaven soon.
Sir, your bags are already on this plane. So get your ass on here. I do not want to find another person to fill your seat.
That's right. Oh, man. But anyway, don't get on those planes.
See, now being me, I would be on the plane and be sitting next to someone and be like, man, this 747 MAX jet looks pretty stable. And then be like, maybe we need to get off right now, honey. We should probably get off. Yeah, this big beast, and I'll bring a piece of a different plane with me and go, oops. Oh, God!
I want a refund!
Just to get a seat by myself.
Yeah, exactly. That would be fantastic. Everybody loves to sit by themselves. You never know who you're going to meet when you sit by yourself and then a wily old character sits next to you and you're like, should I have a conversation with this person or should I slouch into a sleeping position and hope they never speak to me?
Oh, see, that's nice for you. I'm always sitting next to a person and go, I hope they don't suck into my body because if they go in, they're never coming out. If we get close enough, there's only so much you can squeeze in these seats, and you just don't touch.
Do people get sucked into you like Homer Simpson in Disrupted?
Like one time, a plane was so full, and I had to sit in the middle. I'm going down the aisle watching people go, please not me. And I'm like looking at people, and I'm like, I just need to find one of you. And then there's 2 people who aren't looking. And then I'm like, you bitches. And I'm just like, okay, we're going to get real acquainted here. And I go, shake it. And I'm like, all right, we're just going to keep it in for a while, but this is a long flight, so if I spread out, I'm sorry. But you may become a part of me, so we might as well just get real close and just kind of get comfy. I've got a lot of cushion to lay on, so if you do need to recline, you are allowed to. You can just kind of lay in it, and it's all good. Just by the way, I'm gonna need you to feed me my drink though, because I can't reach around you. That's just kind of an invasion of privacy.
It's part of paying for the ticket when sitting next to Norm on an airplane. You need to serve him his drink. Yeah.
Please.
Oh my God, that was the best.
Sorry.
That was an amazing divergent tangent. I loved it so much. But Norm, you've got a very interesting thing that's going on.
Yes. So the coolest thing is happening. At first, when I read this article, I thought it was kind of stupid. But then I read the article and realized it wasn't stupid. It was actually pretty great. So, Hamilton is creating an exhibit in Chicago. They're coming soon. Actually, they're creating the exhibit. And the best part about it is, so everyone's like, oh man, Hamilton's making a musical exhibit. They're going to make Hamilton the musical. Everyone loves Hamilton the musical.
Seems to follow
logically. Everyone seemed to love this. I mean, I listened to it. I thought Hamilton was great, and I thought it was going to be stupid, but
I saw it for free.
I mean, don't throw your wealth around like that. Don't throw your
I
privilege
did,
like that. You
what
just
are you
threw
talking
your
about?
privilege out like that. I saw
that
it
is
for
ridiculous.
free.
And it was not of my own accord. I was
You were
gifted
still
it.
throwing your privilege around right now.
There's nothing. I was in an acting class. That was the only privilege that was involved there.
Okay.
And somebody had extra tickets because their parents didn't want to go.
Okay. Ooh.
That was it.
Mm.
People of all races and cultures got
White
a free ticket.
parents must be so nice.
No, they were Indian. So
Indian parents must be so nice. Well, I still haven't seen Hamilton.
That's great.
So I've seen it in my mind.
It's so great.
Yeah,
It's so great.
you.
I saw it
You
with
can-
when Wayne Brady was here. So Wayne Brady.
Is that supposed to relate to me?
No,
I don't know.
No.
But no, Hamilton is a great
Yeah.
damn musical, and it's amazing. Hell, it made me even think that Hamilton was black. The actual Alexander Hamilton, I thought he was black. I was watching Turn on AMC,
still white.
and Hamilton came out, and I was like, oh shit, he's not brown. Like
No.
Hamilton is not actually brown. So, but they're creating an exhibit. It's going to be amazing because actually it has nothing to do with the musical. It's actually about history.
The guy.
It's about Alexander Hamilton, which
Yeah.
is kind of crazy. But they're
First Secretary of the Treasury,
they're
founding
worried,
father,
They're worried
etc.
that it won't work. They're worried that having a museum that's going to be here in Chicago for a while and then potentially wanting it to move to L.A. and New York and other places, they're worried that people aren't going to want to come and see something about Alexander Hamilton. However, the entire Hamilton musical team with Lin-Manuel Miranda and all the creators, the composers, even the gentleman who actually wrote the book that was that helped create Hamilton, the musical, are all involved with this. They're putting out a lot of money, expecting about 400 people an hour to come into this exhibit.
That's a lot of people.
And it's going to be all about Hamilton. And they're going to have Mr. Miranda. He's going to be your guide, your vocal guide. They're going to have bits and songs from the show. They're still going to have some lyrics connected from the show to the actual words that happened. Mm-hmm. So they're going to, some of the words in the show were words that were actually said. They're going to go put those together and have those kind of side by side. Mm-hmm. But this is not the musical. It is not the show. It is not a behind the scenes. It has nothing to do with that fucking show. It's about Alexander Hamilton.
The actual guy.
The actual guy.
It was funny when you said Mr. Miranda,
Yeah.
I just thought for half a minute, him walking out in a red sweater and being like Mr. Rogers for the new age, but it's all just about Alexander Hamilton. He's like, hi, kids. You want to learn about Alexander Hamilton today? Yeah! It's let's go to the whatever world, and then they go into their place, and it's like little soldiers
Just
walking
puppets.
around, and little puppets. Hi, everybody, I'm Burr. And it's, I don't know why that would be the voice that would be happening for Aaron Burr, but nevertheless, it'd be like, oh, I'm George Washington, and I was on Mount Vernon, and all that, and then all the kids like, yay! And will you be my friend, little girl? Yes, I'll be your friend. And that could be, maybe that's the angle that, maybe nobody heard that. We're going to pitch this until Lin-Manuel Miranda. He's the new Mr. Rogers. But it's only about Alexander Hamilton.
Yeah.
Nothing else about life or
just
anything. Just Alexander. Every episode for the next 20 years, or however long Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood ran, will just be facts about Alexander Hamilton.
Well, see, but that's the thing that I'm kind of interested in, that this popularity of this musical is going to make us know so much about Alexander Hamilton that we're going to forget about everyone else.
Yeah, everybody else is going to be
we're going to be like, oh, yeah, so who's the first president? Oh, you mean
Alexander Hamilton?
You mean Alexander Hamilton did it? Oh, you mean that black guy that was with him? Yeah, that Mr. Washington guy. Yeah, he was pretty cool too.
Yeah. History will be rewritten, and then it'll just be whatever Lin-Manuel. Wait a minute, is this an evil plot by Lin-Manuel?
Oh yeah,
Miranda to reshape and rewrite history?
In Alexander Hamilton's image, that's
a very bizarre way of going about things.
But they're really excited about it. I think after I read it, I realized that this is actually a really good thing because it's going to bring a lot of school kids are going to take what they enjoyed about Hamilton and actually put it with the real individual and learn all this information. You always know as a kid you learn something and you always kind of remember a tidbit from it sometimes, and you're just like, that thing. So, I mean...
Children learning history and expanding their knowledge? How could that be a bad thing? To Hamilton.
To Hamilton.
Well, that is a very cool thing.
Yeah.
And is there a time frame on when they think it's going to come out?
So I think the time. Let me look at my facts.
Facts.
So it will open actually on April 27th.
Oh,
Is the opening day.
This year?
Lin-Manuel Miranda will be there to open it.
Oh, shenanigans.
It's going to be dope.
Where is this again?
In Chicago.
You know what? We're not going to give you all the information.
No,
you
we
look
can't give
it
you
up.
everything. Close to Lake Michigan on Northerly Island.
Got it. There
Is
you
what
go.
they're doing, and it's going to be a temporary thing. But they're hoping to make enough money to take it to other places.
Maybe we will go and do a video there.
I would just actually like to see it. That'd be pretty fun. Yeah, I agree.
I think so.
Yeah. So.
Well, moving right along in other notes, we have an interesting situation going on with school boards. So now that Lori Lightfoot is mayor of Chicago,
It's a light in you.
that's right. There is a new push to get the school boards to be elected instead of run by the mayor. So an interesting factoid for all of those of you who do not know, the current Chicago school board is basically run by the mayor. The mayor has basically overall power and oversees the entire Chicago school board and is able to appoint people to the board. It is currently a 7-member board. So some interesting history about all of this actually. So most other cities do have an elected school board. Chicago's mayor has had power since about 1872 or something like that, so something ridiculous. I don't know where the Tribune got that factoid, but apparently the Chicago public school system was so bad that back in the late 1980s or so, the U.S. Secretary of Education at the time, William Bennett, there's a name for you. Sounds like
the whitest name ever.
Yeah, I know. Maybe he was a founding father. Passed what was called the Education Reform Act that put into legislation that Chicago and other cities would need a 15-person board. And then in 1990, the Illinois Supreme Court was like, that's unconstitutional! And so that didn't happen. So that was pretty interesting. But then in 1995, the Republican state-run government basically gave Richard M. Daley full power to appoint a 5-member board and a CEO without needing any city council approval. And then that has gone now up to a 7-member board. Now, the Pew Charitable Trusts, again, this is all coming from the Chicago Tribune, so, buy a damn paper. And pew, 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 pew. The Pew Charitable Trusts states that 90% of school boards are run by elected officials. However, most major urban areas, although most of them still do have elected boards, larger urban cities do not. So that 90% number is mostly like the rest of the country, but large cities, there are still most major cities do also have some sort of mayoral involvement, or the mayor basically runs the school board. So, for example, CPS has about 361 students. LA, Houston, Atlanta, and Miami all have boards, but New York City, Boston, Philadelphia, Baltimore, Cleveland all have their school boards run by the mayor, basically. So there's a big point of contention now. There was a Tribune poll that was done in 2015 where 76% of us fellow Chicagoans out there, okay, they basically said, yeah, let's have an elected school board. And then they did a referendum and found that 89% of people actually ended up voting, saying that they definitely would want it. So that number actually went up. But nothing has come of it yet because it's all pretty much been dead. And either the House passes it or the Senate would pass it in Springfield, but then they would never get full consensus, and they would never go to the governor for actual approval, or the governor actually would end up vetoing it. So it has, which I find interesting, is that Illinois state legislature has control over what happens in Chicago in regards to the school board situation, which I found a little interesting. However, that is said case, so it would still have to pass through Congress, but there's also been situations where the mayor has not been interested in relinquishing power. And what's also interesting is this is a huge debate, man, and I think it's rather interesting for if you're out there and you're listening, tell us what you think, because this is an interesting, very, very interesting debate, because graduation rates have been increasing, and a lot of people are saying that it's because of the mayoral involvement over the past few years. There's no number that was given that I can see in my notes as to how much graduation rates are going up, but they have gone up, and people are saying, well, that's because of ROM and maybe charter schools and things like that. So there's this interesting thing where it's like having the mayor be in charge of it gives it a centralized authority figure to say, hey, man, F you, do a job better. And then other people like, well, and this is the argument from other on the other side is saying, well, if we have an elected school board, that means there'll be more say from to help to give more power to the people per se to give localized decisions on how they want the education system to be in the city. The only other con to that particular argument is that, well, if we have there's so many different neighborhoods and geographies within the city itself that there will be too many different. It's basically become a clusterfuck because everybody will want different things for their particular neighborhood, and this is going to be running the entire city.
I think we need different things. I know it'll be a clusterfuck, but I think we need very different things for different places.
The problem is that this would be for the entire city. So all 15 people, all these different neighborhoods would have to come to a consensus for everything. And also they found that when elected school boards are present in a city, voter turnout is very small. It's averaging about 11% nationwide, which allows for, and they found that special interest groups have pledged a lot of money into school board elections, some up to like $15 million, etc., to get certain people appointed to do certain things.
Yeah, that
so
makes sense.
It's not an easy thing.
Yeah.
It's not an easy thing. It's a very interesting dichotomy and debate about what is the right way to go here.
And Chicago's
But
not
Lori
good with
Lightfoot's
corruption. So.
Yeah, exactly. But Lori Lightfoot is in favor of potentially moving it to, which is interesting, because she would basically be relinquishing her control and power over what is being done in Chicago. Rahm Emanuel was a very strong proponent of keeping power, and he promoted charter schools, which did not get, and he closed a lot of public schools, particularly in the South and West Sides. He was not very well liked in the African American community.
That was really,
yeah.
But is she doing that because she wants this, or is she doing it because she doesn't actually have any real idea of what the schools need?
Very good question, Nom.
Yeah.
I have no idea.
Yeah.
I don't think she has either.
And that's my thing. I like, it feels kind of like she might not know what is needed, so she's delegating that to giving that off to the people, potentially, just to get it off of her plate.
Yeah.
But it might not be a good thing, as what you said, because we don't need corrupt school boards.
No.
That's just worthless.
But it would be good to give the neighborhoods more of a say into.
Yes,
the problem is, how do you do it? Well, maybe it's just having a mayor who will listen. Good
Yeah,
luck in this city.
Right? But what if we did it like at certain? This is stupid, but let's do it for 5 years and see if it works. And I mean, at least one span from if we're going from high school, from freshman to college. So you got 4 years until someone graduates, and then another year for the new people to kind of come in and transition. Like, if we did that for about 5 years to see if it would work, to see if things got better, but then you still need time to work all of that out and get it all set up and work.
It would take a very long time.
It would take a long time. But maybe we need that time to kind of fuck around a little bit and see what works. Because right now, half the time we settle into stuff and we don't even know why we do it.
Exactly. So it'll be interesting to see with Lightfoot in versus Rahm, will those graduations continue to rise? Or because a lot of the reason, particularly in the African American community, is charter schools are huge. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, I've actually been a part of events, and I actually saw Rahm Emanuel because he gave a keynote address at Perspective Charter Schools event that I was part of back when I was in a sales position with a former company. And so we were a sponsor of it. They were a client. And so he's a big proponent of that, and that's a big reason why graduation rates are going up. So, very interesting to see. We shall have more information as this debate goes on. But if you're watching or if you're listening on iTunes, feel free to leave a comment either on our Facebook page or our YouTube page or on the iTunes page and tell us what you think. We'd love to hear your opinions, and we will address them in a new segment that we're going to be coming out with very soon. We'll get to that, but we just would love to see your opinions and continue that conversation. I think it's a very worthwhile debate to have to see what would be preferred. Obviously, apparently most of the city has said, let's do elected, but you need all the facts.
And in my opinion, I would go with any option that would get me a boat. So let's talk that real quick. All right, so anyone out there, just letting you know, it's a thing of mine. I'm looking for someone with a boat. Anyone with a boat. Now, when I say it that way, it sounds kind of like weird. It sounds like, I'm trying to find a boat to escape on. I'm not. My goal in life, okay, it's on my bingo list. It's on my, greatest wish list, the thing I want to do if I was dying or, alive or whatever. I want to break a champagne bottle off the side of a boat. Correct. And I'm not talking about a dinghy. I'm not talking about a little floaty boat. I'm talking about a yacht. I want to break a champagne bottle off a giant yacht with a little boat in the champagne bottle. Now, here's the thing. I would make the little boat, the same boat as the big boat that I'm breaking off of. Okay? And on that little boat, it will be me and Justin breaking another champagne bottle off of that mini boat. I'm talking about a real intricate type of shit.
Very elaborate.
Yeah.
We will do this. We promise.
Anyone out there.
Anybody at all.
If you know somebody, if you got a cousin of a third girlfriend that has something like that, just let us know, okay? Just put in the comments and our Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, anything.
Or email us at Chicago60, that's SIXTY, @gmail.com. Chicago60, one word, spelled out at gmail.com. Feel free. We will happily promote you on the podcast as well. Great. Yes.
All right. So, moving on.
Moving right along in other news.
So, some exciting stuff is coming to Chicago. So, one of the greatest shows in Chicago is coming to Chicago. It's coming from Chicago, second year in a row. And I'm not talking about like Lollapalooza or Coachella or any of the other boring concerts that happen here that like all the people come around and spend a lot of money on. I'm talking about Nickelodeon motherfucking Slime Fest is going to be here in Chicago, second year in a row. And I'm talking about some headliners. I'm talking about some great headliners. We're talking about Pitbull. Pitbull is going to be at the Nickelodeon Slime Fest. He's gonna be at the Nickelodeon Slime Fest show, pitbulling it up. We got also T-Pain. So I need to know.
Can't even do an auto-tune thing.
No joke. T-Pain can actually sing.
Yeah, he can actually. Why he auto-tuned himself, I have no idea.
What? I'm excited about Slime Fest. I mean, slime is pretty amazing. I mean, that's our childhood.
Yes.
It's Nickelodeon and the weird, nasty green slime that I don't know what it was made of, but apparently it's like cornstarch and syrup and some shit.
Yes.
But this is the second year. It's going to be in Chicago. It's going to be exciting. Once again on Northerly Island. It's going to happen June 8th through 9th. And they debuted it last year. This year, like I said, it's going to have Pitbull, BB Rexa, T-Pain, Jojo Siwa. I can never pronounce her name right, but she always kind of scares me a little bit. Every time I see her, she's really excited. If you've never seen her, you'll just go into a mall and you'll see all sorts of stuff with her face on it. Bows, glitter, everything.
Sia,
Yeah. No, not Sia.
Oh, not Sia.
Siwa.
Oh, Siwa.
Yeah, different people.
What are we seeing?
Jojo Siwa. Do you not see it?
See what?
No, Siwa.
Siwa?
You see it.
What are you seeing?
I know you see it.
No, but I mean, what are you seeing?
Siwa. Jojo Siwa.
Yeah, but what do you see? See what?
Who's on first?
We've done this joke long enough.
Yeah. But I want to know who's making the like. All right, so we're sitting around. It's Nickelodeon, and we're like, okay, so what's popular in music for kids who are still watching Nickelodeon? Thinking, Pitbull's everywhere and he's cheap.
Do people? Yeah, right. The fact is,
he'll do anything.
He cheap? Yeah, it's
no,
true.
He's not cheap, but he will do anything.
That is true.
He will perform anywhere.
Yeah.
There'll be like a boat with 3 people on it, like Pitbull, Asiago. Like I mean, that was not, I don't know what he actually says. He says a lot of different stuff.
That's funny.
But he will perform anywhere in any place at any time, and I gotta commend him for that.
Yeah, he puts himself out there, man.
Man, Nickelodeon is trying.
Yeah.
But they're gonna be here June 8th through the 9th.
We may be there to
if we're
tell
there,
you about it.
we probably shouldn't be there.
That's probably true.
We
maybe.
probably should not be there. We might actually
We
go.
will not be there.
We might actually go.
But
I
we
actually
may be
kind of want to go.
Yeah, it does sound like a remembrance of childhood dreams of wanting to be on the
And
show.
how awkward it would be
Yeah.
for us to be there and be like, here we are!
Hi!
We would get slimed.
We
too.
would be. I would love to get
Yeah,
slimed.
depending on how much
Sounds weird.
ticket prices are. Tickets go on sale Friday, so we definitely might have to.
We're gonna put the link in to
Yeah.
Facebook and YouTube,
Yeah.
so y'all can go on there and check it out.
Oh, also some extra festival activities. There's gonna be a maze,
Ooh.
inflatables,
What?
craft making,
Say what now?
just craft making,
Craft making.
photo ops, and a bunch more. The bunch more is always just kind of. There's pizza. They brought pizza.
Domino's.
They brought Domino's.
They brought Domino's.
Fuck,
Because
Little
Domino's
Caesars.
also
No,
will
they bring-
perform anywhere to
They-
sell
Let's be
Domino's.
real. They bring Little Caesars.
That's
They
true.
bring
That's-
$5 hot and readies in the masses.
The funny thing is, Domino's now you can bring any pizza and you can still get credit to get a pizza from Domino's.
Wait, what?
Yeah, that's a thing now. You didn't see those commercials?
Wait, say that again?
You only have to take a photo of any pizza, and send it to Domino's, and Domino's will give you credit
me.
for pizza. We're not going to stop the podcast. We can do it after the podcast.
Wait.
They don't know, but this isn't. We're not going to put it on pause. Just wait. Just hold your horses. Okay, we'll make a pizza and we'll get free Domino's. God. And with that, in other news, time for legalized sports bettings, folks. Right in theme with Domino's Pizza. So, an interesting thing has occurred where there is a potential new law that will be coming out in Illinois to legalize sports betting. But in particular, this new legislation will require, because obviously there's still casinos and horse racing and whatnot, but specifically legalizing sports betting and specifically letting teams and leagues the ability to extract a fee from the casinos and the horse tracks and everything else for the sports betting. So this is very interesting because sports betting is legalized in about 7 states. Illinois is one of them. But none of the states have anything in legislation that is requiring basically like almost like a stipend or some sort of a fee for the casinos to be paying to make it legalized. But what's interesting is that the Cubs, the Sox, the Hawks, the Cubs, the Sox, the Hawks, and the Bulls have all basically said, we are in support of this. Now, what's very interesting is that Jerry Reinsdorf owns 3 of those teams. I'm sorry, two of them. So he owns the Sox and the Bulls. And Rocky Wirtz owns the Hawks. He's in favor of it. And the Ricketts family is really in favor of it.
Always.
They love money.
They love
money.
Love it.
There are some very interesting statistics that are going on with this, let me tell you. And the only team that is not in favor of it as of yet are the Bears. They are the only team that are not currently in favor of it, but they're neutral.
Yeah.
They're like Switzerland in World War I and World War II. They're like, let's see how this plays out. Just leave us alone. Don't forget, we are the largest, and we have all your money. That's basically what Switzerland said. And that's kind of how the Bears are. Like, you realize nothing flies without us. So
Bears fans,
we're going to wait and see how things go. And then once the Bears go in, it's like, we're in!
Yeah.
It's kind of going to be how it is. That's right. That is right. Shout out to the CBTC and all you guys out there. But so what's very interesting is that the deal would basically be that and the sports teams in Chicago are supporting it as long as the leagues also get some action. So the MLB, the NHL, and the NBA. And so basically it would say for every $100 that is spent in support of or bet on a Chicago team, 25 cents of that will go to the team and or league as well. I mean, it's not a big fee, but it has a lot of, once you add it all up and think about how much betting will be occurring, yeah, it's a lot of money. So the interesting thing is that there's a lot of money that is going into this from a political standpoint. So all of the owners, particularly the Ricketts and the Wirtz family and the Reinsdorfs, between all 3 of those families have put in a combined like $3 to $4 million in just political campaign contributions to candidates who will support the legislation. And on the reverse side, casinos and whatnot who have been able to start supporting campaigns since 1989. They've put in well more. almost $5 million combined in terms of campaign contributions. So there's a big battle of money going on to get what they want. The casinos don't want it to happen, and they say, look, by allowing it to happen, viewership and everything else is already going to give you a lot more money. You don't need a slip of the, you don't need a little bit of the take from us. We're the ones who are trying to make the money here. Mm-hmm. By allowing it, more people are going to be invested in your sports because you're going to be able to bet on it and make money on it. You all don't need it. You're going to get more money just from viewership and butts and seats and everything else, right? And the teams are like, yeah, but we still want money. And they basically go, yeah, but if you give us some money, it's going to incentivize us to make the product better, which will enhance even more. It's all bullshit. It's ridiculous. I just say let it all go at this point. But it's very interesting, and it all rests in the little hands of J.B. Pritzker. So we should see. It's going to be an exciting ride to see what's going to end up happening with all of this. So we'll keep you again apprised of everything else. But basically, the leagues are in favor of it, and if Illinois were to pass this, we would be the first state and the first city in Chicago to allow teams to collect a cut from sports betting. So it would be pretty much breaking news in the world of sports. And it could all start right here in Chicago, where all the corruption, remember episode 3 was facts, corruption, and money. There's a theme. There's a theme going on here.
We can't do anything in Chicago without corruption.
Without corruption and money. So, and the Ricketts have put in so much money into it. It's ridiculous.
Dirty bastards.
Oh my God, it's so ridiculous. So, moving right along in other news.
So, in other news, y'all, probably one of the most beautiful days for Christians just passed. There was Easter Sunday. Also for egg eaters. Chocolate eaters. Yeah, Easter Sunday. Jesus came back to life for everyone involved.
Jesus!
But a day before that, the real shit happened. It was 420, y'all.
Sup?
420 blaze it.
Yeah. You know what? Jesus looked like he smoked pot, so what's up?
Yeah.
Yeah. He came back to smoke the ganj.
I mean, he smoked that rock room up.
He was so high, he moved a rock with his mind.
I mean, he was so high, he floated into heaven.
What's up?
Sup?
Yeah. He was so high, he made a doubting dude, made him real.
He's so high?
Yeah.
Yeah, he made fishes and bread out of one fish and one bread.
He was so high, he forgot he was already drunk and then claimed that he made the wine and everybody got drunk off of, yo.
And he was so high, it was his actual blood.
That's right.
And then Jesus bled to death. And
that's Easter.
No.
Cheers to that one. Oh, kids, pay attention. We just taught you the real story.
But 420. 420 happened in Chicago. Apparently saw it as Black Friday for weed smokers. And they threw a big bash. I mean, they were on Argyle. And by the way, if you've never been to Argyle, go to fucking Argyle. Some of the best Asian food you could ever try in the city. Like, Chinatown's awesome. Argyle's where it's at. And there's a lot of local stores that you really have to go to and get in. And a lot of good restaurants and grocery shopping there. That's great. And we need to put more into that area because it needs more. But, yeah, they threw it down. There was... video games, vintage video games. They had food, obviously. And then all the dispensaries in the area in the city came together because they can't really promote. So they got to actually educate.
Only medical marijuana is still allowed in the state of Illinois currently.
Exactly. And so this is the one time that they got to educate people on what they're actually doing with CBD products and edibles and weed itself, that it's not that harmful. It's really helping people. It's really getting people off things like opioids, which, I mean, that's fucking ridiculous. Like, these things are really helping out. And this is from the earth. It's real. It's planted by individuals who really care. So, and decriminalizing it and getting people out of fucking prisons for shit that doesn't matter when there are actual government individuals who are stealing our actual money and then getting like 4 years. So these people are in for years and years and years for a plant. So I'm really happy that Chicago really threw a bash for it. They really let it happen. J.B. Pritzker is
Very much in support of it.
Supports it.
He probably smokes himself.
They're saying that drafting a bill, sales could generate up to 224 million by 2022, and I think that number is wrong. Because I think it would go up quicker than that. Yeah. I think we would really throw down in Chicago. Also, calm a lot of fucking people down.
That's true.
And
maybe there'd be less shootings.
There probably would, but most of those people are already kind of smoking anyway.
That's true.
So,
good point.
But it would probably bring things down. People would stop getting into situations that they probably wouldn't have to. We'll see what happens, but it sounds really awesome.
Quick disclaimer, we do not mean to slander and or libel J.B. Pritzker. We do not know if he smokes weed or not. No. That was just me trying to be funny.
It was.
Okay. But he probably does. Or he's just like, money.
He's got stuff named
Aha. Okay,
right,
money.
Moving along.
Moving right along in other news. Two other pretty quick and fun stories. I really want to talk about the Chicago Tool Library real quick. I think this one's pretty nifty. So there is now Chicago going to be just like you could go and, actually read a book in a Chicago public library, educate yourselves, whatnot. You can now also educate yourselves with tools from the new Chicago Tool Library. I saw this in the Tribune, and I thought this was a pretty cool thing. So there is going to be a tool library. Basically, all that means is they are going to shelve the heck out of this library with all kinds of different tools that you can rent and use in your neighborhood and community and at home to help you with whatever house project or neighborhood project you wish to do.
That is so fucking cool.
It is very cool. I think it's very cool. It's going to open up in July. It's going to be on 1048 West 37th Street. So it's going to be in the neighborhood of Bridgeport, in the Bridgeport neighborhood. And so it was started by, what do you think? White guy. I thought you were going to go for that one really quick. What? Started by a guy named Jim Benton. So we would love to have Jim on the podcast potentially when it gets closer to July and have him talk about the Chicago Tool Library because I think this is a cool idea. But you can basically rent the tools. It started with a crowdfunding project. So you can go and help them by going to their crowdfunding page, which we will look up and put in the YouTube and Facebook page. And they were trying to raise about $25,000. It appears that they are close and have already done it. And their mission is, quote, to provide all Chicagoans the tools you need to maintain the place you live, improve your neighborhood, and the city they live in, end quote. I think that's a pretty good thing. What's going to happen when they run out of tools? Because if I was down there, I'd be running in there like crazy. I'd just be like, I need this, I need this, I need this, I need this, I need this too. Is there a limit? They don't know if there's a limit. There are going to be late fees, so it's probably going to close down just like Blockbuster. Yeah, right. Nobody's going to pay the late fees. Just like people are going to steal the tools.
I mean, most people borrow tools and don't bring them back
exactly.
to their neighbors.
So, I mean, how are you going to hunt down the people that it's like, well, now is this some sort of a plot to make more cops?
Someone walks through, hey, give me that drill, please.
Hey, that drill's late. It's my drill. No, it ain't. It's got a tag on it.
Yeah, how did they? Okay,
it's my tag.
We're gonna have to explore this because I want some old school tools too.
Mm-hmm.
I want to know if I can get like a scythe.
Yeah, like a scythe would be cool.
Like a scythe.
You just walk around as the Grim Reaper all day.
Like people would be like, "Sir, cops will stop me, sir. You
Mm-hmm.
No, I was like, no, I just felt like cutting some grass. No, sir, you gotta come with us.
You gotta return that lawnmower, sir. But I need it. It's my new business model. I rent it for free, and I make all the money. I don't know why he sounds like that. I don't know who that guy is.
I'm gonna upgrade my scything skills.
Yes. Anyway, it looks really cool. It will be out in July, starting up in July. Again, it's 1048 West 37th Street. We will try and reach out to Jim Benton and have him on the podcast. We'd love to hear more about it. We will keep you apprised, Chicago, of all those developments. Very quick thing before we get to Jag-Off of the week. Norm, the first hummingbirds have been sighted for spring. Yay! They were spotted in Will County, so you know what that means when hummingbirds are arriving. Spring is here. Love is in the air.
Is it? Because it was 70 outside. It feels like fucking summer.
Yeah. Summer is here early. We've lost seasons.
We've lost them.
Is that the threshold? 70 is summer? I thought 60s and 70s is spring, 80s, 90s is summer in here.
For a big ass 70s.
Okay, makes sense. All right. Fair enough. Now we know.
Especially when he's wearing all black. It's fucking summer outside.
Well, you could wear colors, Norm.
No. I got one color and I'm good.
Well, hey Chicago, if you see any hummingbirds in your area, send us a photo. We'd love to see photos of hummingbirds. We will shout you out and post your photo of the hummingbirds that you found on our page. So please do that. That would be phenomenal. We will remind you as the spring continues. Now, Norm, it is time. It is time, my friend, for our favorite segment of the week. It's time for the Jag-Off of the Week! Now, Norm, we each have a quick Jag-Off, and they're all pertaining to the Bears. Now, who is your Jag-Off of the week?
So my Jag-Off of the week, and I'm going to make this real quick, is your Bears quarterback, or old quarterback, Jay Cutler. So recently on his show with his wife, Kristen Cavallari, Very Cavallari, which is an episode, we're going to have to watch this show.
We'll watch it for you so you don't have to.
Definitely. Fun fact, apparently Jay Cutler grew up in Santa Claus, Indiana.
Yes.
I did not know there was a Santa Claus, Indiana.
Yep. Everybody goes there to tell Santa Claus what they want.
That's fucking weird. Okay. But the reason why he's my Jag-Off of the week this week is because during that process, it was his daughter, Sailor, which, okay, this is the whitest name I've ever...
Sailor?
Sailor.
Her name is Sailor?
Sailor,
like
yes.
Sailor Moon?
Yes, like Sailor Moon. Or Sailor Jerry. Yeah.
God.
Sailor. But hey, do your own thing. And we got weird names too.
Yeah.
So, Jay Cutler, who made millions off of being a Bears quarterback...
Correct.
Did not want to spend over $30 for his daughter's birthday gift.
Huh. Sounds like a Jay Cutler thing to do.
And I gotta be real. He was looking at a Unicorn Nightlight, and he asked how much it was. He said $78, which I don't know what Unicorn Nightlight is, $78.
That's
but
true, yeah.
I mean, hell, I spend $78 at a shawarma restaurant. So
yeah.
like, come on, he did not want to spend that money. So
I mean, I respect his fiscal conservatism, but at the same time, it's your freaking daughter on her birthday.
Thank you.
Buy her the damn unicorn light. Jesus.
Hell, you could buy her a unicorn and a light to glow on top of it.
Jesus would buy her that unicorn light.
Jesus would.
That's right, he would. Well, do you know the funny thing is that he sent an engagement ring to Kristen in the mail?
Oh, you're such a jag-off.
That's a true story. Hey, Jay Cutler, you're a jag-off. I mean, the greatest Bears quarterback of all time to date. Damn. Mitch Trubisky may overpass him, but as of now, that jag-off is... And my jag-off of the week, which I found just recently, super excited about it. I saw it on Instagram, which is ridiculous. Ryan Pace, the current general manager of the Bears, who typically we're all kind of in favor of right now. I just saw that he made a statement in the news where he went, "Really, guys, rounds 2 and 5 in the NFL draft is really where the draft happens. That's where all the real tough decisions are made." Now, I find that quite interesting because day 2 and 3 of the draft are when all the other picks occur, other than the first round picks, which now have their own day because they take so damn long. Why do you think Ryan Pace would be saying that day 2 and 3 are the most important? Do you have any guess, Norm?
No, I don't.
Because the Bears and Ryan Pace got rid of all of their first round picks. So, of course, day 2 and 3 are the most important. So we don't have any damn first-round picks, you freaking moron. Who are you trying to fool here, Ryan? Oh, guys, don't worry. Day 2 and 3 are the real most important days. Are you freaking kidding me, guy? That's why the first-round picks have their own freaking day on the fucking draft. It's because they're the most important pick. Not day 2 and 3, you fucking jag-off.
Let him have his thing.
God.
Let him have his
You're not fooling Bears fans, Ryan, okay? We love you. We love that you got Khalil Mack, but own your fucking decision. Don't be like, oh, don't worry, guys. Don't worry about the first round. It's the second, third days that really matter.
Guys, I'm going for the 33rd pick. That's going to be amazing. That's when the real meat happens.
We don't even think we have a second-round pick either. Like, geez. I mean, granted, he's done very well picking people in those rounds, but... don't fool yourself the first... Oh, God. it's like, dude, you're a moron. You're a jag-off, Ryan. You're a jag-off. Don't try and fool the Bears Nation, okay? And anybody in Bears Nation, Bear Mysterio, the Bear Man, Tim Shanley, and anybody from the CBTC, Billy and the defense guys, if any of you have some comments on what you think about Ryan Pace's comments and or what Jay Cutler is doing, please leave comments. We'd love to talk to you. And with that, Norm, that was the podcast. Please stay tuned to next week. We'll be here next week at our regular time on Sunday. That'll be the 20... Sunday. Whatever the hell day it is. So tune back in next Sunday. We'll be back here. And if you like what you hear, please go and like and follow us on our Facebook page, Chicago 60. Follow and like us on our Instagram page at Chicago_60. Like us on YouTube, Chicago 60. Look us up. You can find us there. Please subscribe. As we continue the podcast, there will be all kinds of new things that we have planned, and you will not be able to get it unless you're a subscriber of the YouTube channel. So go there and do that. And stay tuned next week. And again, as we always like to say here on the Chicago 60 podcast, our favorite phase, bear down and fuck the Packers! Yeah.